how can you set yourself up for success in 2022 within your career? In this episode, I am sharing 3 tips with you to help you hit the ground running and really make the most of things in January. Hey, future Hayley here. So just to let you know quickly, I recorded this episode back at the end of last year, but I got poorly and I was really unwell and I didn't manage to finish editing or producing it. So I am releasing it a bit later, which means there's some references to do with December and different months, but just ignore those because the tips that I talk about are still very relevant no matter when you're actually watching this episode, or of course listening if you're on the podcast. So let's dive in. Hello and welcome to the show, the place where you can get clear in your STEM career. So whether you are a scientist, an engineer, you work in maths, tech or construction or anything that is technical, you are in the right place. So we have fast approached the end of 2021, which is just crazy to me, to be honest, and I'm sure it is to you as well. Time has completely flown. And whenever I come to the end of the year, I always go through this reflection process of thinking, okay, well, how can I improve on things for next year and hit some of my goals? Now, what I want to do in this episode is give you 3 tips to take with you into 2022. So thinking about what you can do right now in this month to set yourself up in the right way. Now, I'm not talking about goal setting and targets and things like that because I know that you already know about that and I'm sure you're already doing that. What I'm thinking about is how you can actually approach things maybe a bit differently so that you can improve the way that you're working and the way that you approach the year and how you actually go into the year as well, because that is so important and almost more important actually than setting those specific targets and pushing all of the time. So tip number 1 is to let go. Now, there would have been so much negativity that has built up because, let's be honest, there's probably been so much stress that has happened in this year that by the end of it, you might be feeling a bit weighed down and a bit exhausted. You might be feeling guilty or resentful or just negative in different ways because you might have not been able to accomplish exactly what you've accomplished, or maybe you're kind of feeling a bit bad because you had to put some projects on the back burner or things haven't quite gone the way that you wanted them to go. I think as you approach the end of the year, it's just such a brilliant opportunity to let go of all of the things that have been building up. And I always think of negativity and the stress and everything that comes to you kind of like either baggage, I think that's a known analogy really, or my kind of weird one is like it's a creature that's like climbing on you. So I always think of this like sloth, right, that's sort of around my neck and that's hanging off the back of me. And over the course of the year, when stress happens and different things happen, then this sloth suddenly gets heavier and heavier and bigger. So by the end, I'm like trudging and trying to like keep up with everything. And it's just so difficult. And this helps me to basically visualize all of the stress and the negativity as something that you're able to let go of and control. So if you're able to form a creature or some sort of visual associated with your negative thoughts or your stress and the burdens and everything, then you can start to work to try and let go of that and be like, okay, sloth on my back. I'm just going to try and prise you off. Let's just go. You can go in that corner. But I think it's important because it can really hold you back if you go into a new year still holding that on you and you end up basically forcing yourself or pushing or basing all of your targets and your goals based off guilt because you haven't quite accomplished what you wanted to accomplish this year or for whatever reason. So the way I like to think of it is to basically shed a skin and a layer so you can go into the new year kind of more refreshed. So letting go is really important. So as well as the emotions and the negativity and the stress that you're letting go of, it might be that you're having to let go of an idea or a project, maybe even people in your life, whether you've lost loved ones along the way, or whether you've realized that there are people in your life who just don't serve you anymore, maybe friends who just kind of drain you or don't help build you up in a positive way, and you've realized and that you don't really need them in your life anymore, but you're still like holding on to that guilt and that burden that goes along with it. So letting go is such a powerful thing to be able to do, and that's why I usually set aside a morning or an afternoon or a couple of hours in December, or maybe at the start of January, where I can just reflect. And this is something that you can do. You can get your journal, or you can meditate, do some yoga, go for a long walk, whatever works for you. It's just giving yourself that space to look at everything, to look at the emotions, to really kind of allow yourself to feel what you're feeling, because often you spend the year having to push through, and all of that emotion just gets shoved down basically, and you ignore it. But what happens then is that you're holding on to that. The sloth, right? The sloth is still there. It's just that you've got your blinkers on and you're like, no, if I don't look at it, it doesn't exist. And that is just not healthy. So letting go is just such an important thing to do at the end of the year as you go in, so that you can feel more refreshed and more ready for something challenging and something new. Tip number 2 is all about clarity. So as you go into a new year, it's so important to kind of sit down and get clear on things. I mean, this sounds really obvious, but if you don't know where you're going and you don't know what you want and you're not clear on what it is that you're trying to achieve in your career next year, then you're going to end up all over the place. You don't have a direct target that you're trying to move towards. And you can spend all of your energy and all of your time and all of your effort working towards something that you don't even understand or know about, or you don't even get why you're doing it. And that is what can cause a lot of confusion in your career, or a lot of kind of, again, negativity and stress, because half of the time you're working really hard, but there's a voice in the back of your head basically saying, why am I doing this? I don't know. Do I even like what I'm doing? I don't know. And that can be really, really confusing. So getting clarity on what it is you want, why you're doing it, where you're going. And even if it's just a feeling, it doesn't have to be, oh, I'm definitely going to become a mechanical engineer at this company. You don't need to be that specific. I mean, if you can, that's great. But if you can't, it's okay. But being specific about what you believe in, what you're passionate about, all of this clarity is so important. So having time, again, setting aside some time to really reflect on that and brainstorm and go through some ideas. And this is really the crux of having a fulfilling career, is understanding all of this, is understanding your why. And if this is something that you're wanting to build on next year and to really, really nail down and figure out, then I'm so excited. If you've watched my videos before, or listened to my podcast, then you know that I have my Fearless Careers group coaching program, which is basically a 6 to 8 week program where we work together and I take you through figuring out what it is that you want and gaining that clarity and that confidence and setting out a plan forward, so that for the next year, month by month, you know exactly what it is that you're doing and why you're doing it. And that might mean changing career, changing job, staying where you are but trying to get a promotion. It's basically creating shifts. So if you're fed up of feeling trapped or bored or undervalued or unhappy or anything like that, and you are like, no, in 2022, I want to make a change. I really want to feel good for once. And I actually want to wake up and I want to know that I am working towards something that I truly believe in. Then you might be right for my Fearless Careers program. So please do check it out. Just head over to my website, which is hayleyloren.com/coaching, and you can just navigate to Fearless Careers there. But all around this clarity as well, I think another really important point, and a little bonus one, I guess here, is about balance. Because the thing is, when it comes to careers and jobs, and if you're studying or anything like that, it's so, like, in this modern world, we're just pushing constantly. You're delivering, you're looking to the next target, the next job, the next project. It's constant to the next thing. That there is not enough space to reflect and have time for you. And I know this all sounds a bit woo-woo and everything, but something that I'm personally taking into next year is basically moving forward without the strain, because I genuinely believe, and I know that you can still accomplish, but without that exhaustion and without the negativity that surrounds it as well. So basically working in ease and space into your days and into your life so that you're still delivering, but you're also giving balance to things. So you're giving time to look after the house if that's important to you, and be with your family, whilst also being able to deliver on your work. It's all about getting really clear, again, that clarity on where you want to put your time. Answer that, and then take action to actually implement ways that you can bring it into your life a bit more. So the last tip number 3, is a really, really fun one, and this is to celebrate. This is something that I don't think anybody that I know really does about themselves, because most people who are focused on their careers and driven and are building something, building a business or trying to succeed, you're so busy, as I said before, looking towards the next thing, that you forget to stop and say, hey, look at what I've done. I'm pretty freaking awesome. And I know it's difficult to do that if you're like, Hayley, I really don't think I'm awesome and I've not done enough seriously. Then, you are. You really are awesome, because you're being very modest in that. And I bet you if we were in a room having a chat, then there'll be loads of things that you've done this year, even if it's small things or to what the outside world would perceive as small, but to you are really, really important. Maybe you've been able to implement some you time into your life for once, or maybe you, back in January, you did an interview, or you were on TV or you're on a podcast or something like that, and you've totally forgotten you've even done it. It's crazy how you can actually forget what you've done. So my recommendation is to sit down and go through month by month, get your calendar out and actually look at what you've been doing, and then be like, hey, that is a lot. That's pretty cool. And celebrate yourself. You don't need to go and have a massive party. I mean, the way things are heading here in the UK anyway with COVID, I don't think any of us will be doing that, sadly. But celebrating yourself can be just sitting down and giving yourself space and the time to be like, yes, I am enough. What I have done this year is enough. And I am working towards something that is bigger. And I do like the phrase that, Rome wasn't built in a day. It wasn't. It took a very long time. Things take time. So celebrate each step of the journey that you're on. So that was tip number 3. And if you want some more help and some more guidance, then make sure you are signed up to my Career Boost, which is a weekly email that I send out full of tips and advice and basically more on top of this podcast. So if you like this podcast or you like these videos, then definitely sign up to the Career Boost. It's completely free. It's just an email that I send to you every week. I'll probably stop over Christmas though, and it will be back in January. So if you want some like a boost in January to get yourself in gear for next year, then definitely sign up. Just head to my website, www.hayleyloren.com/coaching. Thank you so much for joining me. This is the last episode of the year, which is crazy. And one thing that I have to say that I'm quite proud of is that I've actually managed to get out regular episodes. So something that I've always struggled with, balancing everything in my life, is consistency. Consistency to be able to actually get out episodes, because it takes a lot of time. So I just want to give a really big shout out to my editor, Dave, who is amazing. And I would say I want to link to him, but I don't want to give him away to anybody. But I will put his details in the show notes. I found him on Fiverr and he is amazing. And he basically has made my life so much easier this year. So thank you very much, Dave. And yeah, have an amazing rest of your year. I will see you or speak to you, whether you're on YouTube or on a podcast, but I will speak to you next year in January. It is going to be good. Come with me, come join me. We are going to make 2022 wonderful, spacious, but also we're going to kick some ass too. Speak to you then.